Emergency room protocol is simple. Gunshot wound, call the police. No exceptions, no gray areas. Sarah Chen has followed that rule for 15 years as a night shift nurse. But tonight, at 2:47 a.m., a man stumbles through the ER doors with a bullet in his chest and 7 words that shatter everything. They have my daughter. Don't call anyone. Sarah has 3 choices. Follow protocol and a 16-year-old girl dies. Break protocol and become an accessory to a crime. Or find a third option that doesn't exist. The clock is ticking. The bleeding won't stop. And Sarah has to decide which oath is more sacred. The one to the law or the one to do no harm. City General Hospital sat on the east side. A concrete fortress built in 1968 when urban renewal meant function over beauty. 7 stories of beige exterior, narrow windows, a parking garage that always smelled like exhaust and defeat. The ER entrance glowed with harsh fluorescent light 24 hours a day. A beacon for the broken, the bleeding, the desperate. Sarah Chen had worked the night shift for 15 years, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 4 nights a week. She was 43 years old, divorced 6 years, no children by choice. Or so she told people. The truth was more complicated. The night shift didn't leave room for family. Or maybe Sarah didn't leave room for anything that couldn't be solved with sutures and medication. Thursday night, 2 a.m. The ER was in its usual rhythm. Not quite dead, not quite chaos. Exam rooms 3 and 5 were occupied. Room 3, elderly man with chest pain, probable angina, waiting for cardiology. Room 5, drunk college kid with a broken wrist from punching a wall over a girl. Standard night shift fare. Sarah stood at the nurse's station, updating charts on the computer. Her scrubs were teal, practical, covered with the hospital ID badge that said Sarah Chen, RN, 15-year service. Her hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail. No makeup, no jewelry except a watch, digital, waterproof, precise. Everything about Sarah was precise. Dr. James Rodriguez, the attending physician, sat across from her, drinking his 4th coffee of the shift. Mid-30s, perpetually exhausted, good doctor but worn down by the system. Quiet night, he said, which was a mistake. You never said quiet in an ER. It was like tempting fate. As if on cue, the automatic doors burst open. A man stumbled in, clutching his side, blood seeping through his fingers. Mid-40s, average height, wearing jeans and a gray jacket dark with blood. His face was pale, sweating, eyes wide with pain and something else, fear. Sarah was on her feet instantly, years of training taking over. Gunshot wound, she called out. Dr. Rodriguez dropped his coffee, moving fast. Together they guided the man toward Trauma Room 1, the only room equipped for serious cases. What's your name? Sarah asked, applying pressure to the wound as they moved. Daniel, the man gasped. Daniel Pierce. Okay, Daniel, we're going to help you. When were you shot? 20 minutes ago. Maybe less. I can't. They got him onto the trauma table. Sarah cut away his jacket and shirt with scissors, exposing the wound. Entry wound left side, lower abdomen. No exit wound. Bullets still inside. Bleeding moderate but steady. Dr. Rodriguez began his assessment. BP is 110/70. Pulse 115. Respiration elevated. Sarah, Startin 4, get blood typed and crossed. I need to see if there's organ damage. Sarah moved mechanically, inserting the 4-line, drawing blood samples. This was protocol. Step 1, stabilize. Step 2, assess. Step 3, call police. Gunshot wounds were mandatory reporting. The police would arrive, take a statement, file a report. Standard procedure. She reached for the phone at the wall station. Daniel's hand shot out. gripping her wrist with surprising strength for someone losing blood. "Don't," he said, his eyes locked onto hers. "Please, don't call anyone." Sarah pulled her hand back gently. "Sir, I have to. It's protocol. All gunshot wounds. They have my daughter." Daniel's voice cracked. "Emma, she's 16. 6 months ago, she disappeared. The police gave up, said she ran away. But she didn't. She was taken by the people who shot me." Dr. Rodriguez glanced at Sarah, a question in his eyes. Sarah shook her head slightly. "Not now. Assess first, sort later." "Who shot you?" Sarah asked, keeping her voice calm while she worked. "Antonio Vega's crew. I owed money. A lot. I couldn't pay. They took Emma as collateral. Said I had 1 year to come up with $200,000 or they'd sell her. Tonight, I tried to get her back. It went wrong. They shot me. Told me if I go to the police, Emma dies. I believe them." Sarah's hands didn't stop working, checking vitals, adjusting the four, monitoring the bleeding. But her mind raced. Antonio Vega. She knew that name. Everyone in the ER knew it. Vega ran the East Side, drugs, gambling, trafficking. Patients came through with Vega connections all the time. They never talked, never pressed charges. Fear kept them silent. "The police can protect her," Sarah said. "If you tell them, the police couldn't find her in 6 months. Vega owns half the force anyway. The moment I talk, she's dead." Daniel's breathing was becoming more labored. "Please, I'm not asking you to save me. I'm asking you to not kill my daughter." Dr. Rodriguez pulled Sarah aside, lowering his voice. "We have to call this in. You know the law." "I know." Sarah looked at Daniel on the table, bleeding, desperate. She thought about a 16-year-old girl somewhere in the city, held by people who trafficked in human lives. "But if we do, and he's telling the truth, that's not our job to determine. Our job is to treat and report. Our job is to do no harm." "Sarah," Dr. Rodriguez's voice was firm. "We call it in. Now." Sarah reached for the phone again. This time, Daniel didn't try to stop her. He just looked at her with eyes that held no hope, only resignation. "Her name is Emma Pierce," he said quietly. 16 years old. Blonde hair, blue eyes. She plays violin. She wants to be a teacher. When she was 7, she broke her arm falling off a bike. I took her to this hospital. You might have been here. You might have helped her." Sarah's hand hovered over the phone. She didn't remember every patient. 15 years, thousands of faces. But she remembered broken arms. Remembered scared little girls with blonde hair. Could have been Emma. Could have been anyone. She made a decision that would change everything. She put down the phone. "Dr. Rodriguez, prep for surgery. We need to extract that bullet before he bleeds out." The bullet came from a hunting accident. Patient was alone in the woods, drove himself here. No police involvement necessary. Dr. Rodriguez stared at her. "Sarah, what are you?" "Hunting accident," Sarah repeated, meeting his eyes. "That's what I'm charting." A long moment. Then Dr. Rodriguez nodded once. He didn't agree, but he didn't stop her either. "I'll need an oar. This isn't something we can do in the ER. Then we take him up. Tell them it's urgent. Hunting accident, compromised organs, needs immediate surgery." They worked quickly, transferring Daniel to a gurney, calling up to the oar. Within 10 minutes, he was being wheeled to the elevators. As they rolled past the nurse's station, Sarah saw the clock. 2:47 a.m. That was the moment. The moment she chose to break protocol. The moment she became something other than a nurse following rules. Dr. Rodriguez went with Daniel to surgery. Sarah stayed behind to file the paperwork. Hunting accident. Alone in woods. Self-transported. She filled in the forms with steady handwriting, lying with every word. When she finished, she realized her hands were shaking. At 3:15 a.m., Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Smart choice. Keep him quiet. Keep yourself quiet. We'll be in touch. Her blood ran cold. They were watching. Vega's people. They knew Daniel was here. Knew she'd chosen not to call police, which meant they were either outside the hospital or had someone inside. Either way, Sarah was now involved, not just as a nurse, as an accomplice. She deleted the text, looked around the ER. Night shift staff bustled about their routines. 2 other nurses, 1 tech, security guard at the entrance. Any of them could be on Vega's payroll. Or none. Paranoia was easy at 3 a.m. in a hospital where violence was currency. At 4:30 a.m., Dr. Rodriguez returned from surgery. He found Sarah in the break room, drinking coffee she couldn't taste. "Surgery went well," he said, sitting across from her. Bullet was lodged near the intestine but didn't perforate. "He'll live. We're moving him to recovery." "Good. Sarah, what you did was necessary, was illegal. We're mandatory reporters. If this comes out, we lose our licenses. Maybe face charges." Sarah met his eyes. A 16-year-old girl is being held by traffickers. If we'd called the police, she'd be dead. Now she has a chance. Maybe. Or maybe Daniel Pierce is lying. Maybe Emma ran away like the police said. Maybe this whole thing is a con to avoid criminal charges. Do you believe that? Dr. Rodriguez was quiet. "No, I saw his face. That was real fear, real grief. But that doesn't make what we did right. Then what should we have done?" No answer, because there was no good answer. Just impossible choices. At 5 a.m., Sarah went to check on Daniel in recovery. He was awake, groggy from anesthesia but stable. When he saw her, tears filled his eyes. "Thank you," he whispered. "Don't thank me yet. We need to figure out how to find Emma. I know where she is, or where she was 3 hours ago. Warehouse on the docks. Pier 47. They move the girls every few days, but Emma's been there for the past week." "How do you know?" "I've been watching, planning. Tonight was supposed to be the rescue. I hired 2 guys to help me. It went wrong. They shot me, left me for dead. The guys I hired ran." Sarah processed this. Daniel had tried direct action. It had failed. If you go to the police now, tell them about the warehouse. They'll raid it. Vega will know. He has cops on payroll. By the time they get there, Emma will be moved or dead. The only way is quiet. Secret. Someone Vega doesn't know about. Someone like me. Daniel looked at her. "I can't ask that. You already did. The moment you walk through those doors." Sarah pulled up a chair. "Tell me everything. Layout of the warehouse. How many guards. Where they keep the girls. Everything." Daniel talked. Sarah listened, memorized, and somewhere in the back of her mind, she realized she'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She wasn't just breaking protocol anymore. She was planning a crime. At 6 a.m., Sarah's shift was almost over. She went to the nurse's locker room, changed out of her scrubs into street clothes, jeans, dark jacket, running shoes. She looked at herself in the mirror. 43 years old. 15 years of playing by the rules. And now, about to do something impossibly stupid. She left through the employee entrance, avoiding the main ER doors. The sun was starting to rise, painting the city in shades of gray and amber. Sarah drove east toward the docks, toward Pier 47, toward a warehouse where a 16-year-old girl waited for rescue that might never come. The warehouse was exactly as Daniel described. Old shipping facility, rusted corrugated metal walls, broken windows on the second floor. One entrance visible from the street, probably more in back. A black SUV parked outside. Two men visible, guards, smoking cigarettes, casual but alert. Sarah parked 2 blocks away, watched from a distance. She had no plan, no weapon, no backup, just determination fueled by 15 years of watching violence's aftermath and finally choosing to act before the damage was done. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. "You're at the warehouse. Stupid. Leave now or join the girls inside. They were watching. Cameras? Lookouts?" Sarah scanned the area but saw nothing obvious. She texted back, "I'm just driving. Haven't stopped." Response came immediately. "Lying gets you killed. Leave. Now." Sarah started her car, drove away slowly. But she circled the block, came back from a different angle, found a spot with a view of the warehouse's back entrance, and waited. At 7:30 a.m., activity. A van pulled up to the back entrance. 3 men got out. One of them opened the warehouse door. Sarah could see inside briefly. A dimly lit interior, what looked like makeshift rooms, movement in shadows. Then she saw her, a girl, blonde hair, 16 or 17, being led from the warehouse to the van. Not fighting, not crying, just moving with the defeated compliance of someone who'd given up hope. Emma Pierce. Had to be. Sarah made a decision born of desperation and fury. She pulled her car out of the alley, drove straight toward the van, and accelerated. The men looked up too late. Sarah's car slammed into the van's side panel, crushing metal, triggering airbags. Impact threw Sarah forward against her seatbelt. Pain exploded in her chest. But she was conscious. The men were shouting, pulling guns. Sarah threw open her door, grabbed Emma's arm. "Run!" They ran. Sarah didn't know where, just away. Her ribs screamed with every breath, probably cracked from the impact. Emma stumbled beside her, confused, terrified, but moving. Behind them, gunshots. Bullets hitting pavement, brick walls. Sarah pulled Emma around a corner, into an alley, through a gap in a chain-link fence. They emerged onto a residential street. Early morning, people leaving for work. Witnesses, the shooting stopped. Sarah pulled out her phone, dialed 911. "This is Sarah Chen. I'm a nurse at City General. I'm at the corner of Dock Street and Pier Avenue. I have a kidnapping victim with me. Emma Pierce. Send police. Send ambulances. And send lots of them." 8 hours later, Sarah sat in an interrogation room at the precinct. Her ribs were wrapped, 3 fractured from the car impact. Her hands had bruises from the airbag, and her career was probably over. Detective Maria Santos sat across from her. Early 50s, sharp eyes, no nonsense. "Let me get this straight. A gunshot victim comes into your ER. Instead of following protocol, you lie on his chart, fail to report the wound, and then use information he gave you to attempt a vigilante rescue of his daughter. Does that about cover it? Yes, you could have gotten Emma killed. You could have gotten yourself killed. You destroyed hospital property. Your car was totaled. You violated multiple laws and hospital policies. Yes, why?" Sarah looked at her hands. Because the system failed her. Daniel reported her missing 6 months ago. The police closed the case. Said she was a runaway. She wasn't. She was being trafficked. If I'd followed protocol, called you when Daniel came in, Vegas people would have killed her. I made a judgment call. Nurses don't make judgment calls about criminal investigations. Then maybe they should. Detective Santos leaned back. "You're lucky. Emma Pierce is alive. She's traumatized, malnourished, but alive. Her testimony led us to 3 more girls. We raided 2 other locations, arrested 7 people so far, including 2 police officers on Vegas payroll." Sarah looked up, Daniel? Stable. In custody. He's facing charges for the debt situation that started this, but given the circumstances, the DA might show leniency. Santos paused. You know you're facing charges too. Obstruction. Filing false reports. Reckless endangerment. I know. Hospital already suspended you pending investigation. Medical board will review your license. I know that too. Santos studied her. You did something monumentally stupid, but you also saved 4 girls from trafficking. So I have a question. If you had to do it again, would you? Sarah didn't hesitate. Yes. A week later, Sarah sat in her apartment, waiting for the legal proceedings to begin. The hospital had officially terminated her employment. The medical board hearing was scheduled for next month. Criminal charges were still being decided. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then did. Sarah Chen? A woman's voice. Yes, this is Catherine Miller. I run a free clinic on the west side. I heard about what you did. What happened? I'm calling because I need a night shift nurse. Someone who understands that sometimes the protocol isn't enough. Someone who'll do the right thing even when the right thing is complicated. Interested? Sarah looked around her apartment. 15 years at City General. 15 years of following rules that sometimes protected the wrong people. 15 years of cleaning up violence without stopping it. Yes, she said. I'm interested. 3 months later, charges against Sarah were reduced to a misdemeanor with probation. The medical board suspended her license for 6 months, then reinstated it with conditions. Daniel Pierce received a suspended sentence and was reunited with Emma, who was in therapy but recovering. Sarah started at the free clinic. Night shift still, but different now. The clinic served people who couldn't afford City General, who were afraid of hospitals, who fell through every crack in the system. And Sarah, now officially someone who'd fallen through those cracks herself, understood them in a way she never had before. She still followed protocol, mostly, but she'd learned the hard way that protocols were written by people who'd never had to choose between law and life. And sometimes, in the fluorescent glow of a night shift, when someone came through the doors bleeding and desperate and telling a story that sounded impossible, Sarah remembered that doing no harm meant something more complicated than just following orders. The night shift at the clinic was where the city bled. But unlike City General, this was where Sarah tried to stop the bleeding before it started. One patient at a time. One impossible choice at a time. They say emergency room protocol is simple. Sarah Chen learned it wasn't. Not when lives hung in the balance. Not when the rules protected the wrong people. Not when doing the right thing meant breaking every rule she'd ever been taught. She'd lost her job. Nearly lost her license. Nearly died. But Emma Pierce was alive. And that, Sarah decided, was worth more than 15 years of following protocol. Because the night shift wasn't just about treating damage. Sometimes it was about preventing it. And if that made her a criminal in the eyes of the law, Sarah could live with that. What she couldn't live with was silence. Not anymore.